Hello everybody and welcome back to the Cowdino arcade. Today we're playing Ink and okay, I guess A is not jump. I had this recent, I've been thinking about money a lot recently, and I wanted to talk about the fact that money, the question of can money buy you happiness, and how no, it can't, but it can buy you freedom, and sometimes freedom can be happiness. Now, I'm really stressed right now. Like, I wanted to record this now, right? But I'm really stressed because this is going to be a small rant. For my class on agile development, we have to schedule what's called a stakeholder demo. Oh, the ink splat, I see. In other words, we have to show the current status of our app to one of the tutors, the grader, the professor, whatever. And it's just so frustrating because, I don't know, the language is confusing. The grader sent a message at around 10 p.m. saying, would tomorrow or Saturday work? And I read the message this morning. So I thought, yeah, tomorrow would work great, but tomorrow doesn't work. Because tomorrow is Friday. Tomorrow is not today, and they meant today. So I'm stressed. That's that. Do I even want to talk about money? Is that even interesting anymore? Am I in the right headspace to do so? Should I rant about scheduling problems, language, communication issues? Anyway, yeah, let's talk about money, I guess. I've never had too much of an opinion about money. I've never been in a place where I've desperately needed it, as far as I'm aware. Never been in a place where it can be quite, thrown around, right? And, have a really spoiled living time, spoiled life. I don't have my own car, whatever. Take this just as you will. And not really as a result, but just I'm not someone who puts a lot of emphasis on money in general. If a friend asks me for help with something, right, and it's something that I can do in 5 minutes that might take them an hour, I'll do it. And it's, nothing out of my day, a favor for a friend, whatever. What are friends for? In other words, I'm not going to ask them to pay me. All right, just a long silence there. I had a really hard time charging people for anything just because I didn't know what kind of value to put on myself, right? In other words, I wanted to become a freelance editor, but I was thinking, 10 is minimum wage, and I think, oh, it's $11.50, yeah, whatever. Oh, it's in New York, it's 15 per hour, but doing motion graphics will take more hours than just normal editing. It'll also take more brain power. Would I charge, per hour, a foot, whatever? And I didn't know how to value my own time in terms of money, and as a result, I never gave much emphasis to money. For a while I always viewed things as relative. So would I rather spend this $30 on jeans or pants or something, like another pair of clothing that I don't need, or another item of clothing that I just don't need because I already have pants, or like lunch for a few days or whatever, and I go with the latter, or I just save it. For example, the only job I had for a while was working at a summer camp, and that summer camp was, it would pay me money over the summer, and I would just use that money for everything else throughout the year, and I often had much left over by the time next summer even rolled around, just because I didn't spend that much. But recently, I've been looking at money, and most of the reason I've been looking at money is because of this thing I read about budgeting, and I decided that there are things I want to get. The YouTube channel is making not tons of money, but it's making some money that is substantial enough that I can invest it back into itself. Example, you make X money and you want to buy a new microphone, you can do that, right? So I put this money aside, and it's solely for putting money into the channel itself. But at the same time, you know, I'm also tutoring and I get paid for that. And I have fun tutoring. I think it's great. It feels weird charging people for me to teach them because I don't, you know, what do I know, right? But I seem to be pretty good at it based on people's responses. Granted, I could be horrible at it. Don't know. But people say, oh yeah, that helps. And, you know, I get good feedback and I enjoy doing it. It's not something that feels like total work. I really enjoy teaching in general. Oof, this is a multi-stage level, I see. Whoops. So anyway, yeah, so I get paid for that. And now, you know, I have this quote unquote constant income. It's not substantial. I couldn't go live on my own with it. I want to say obviously, but that's not obvious. It's like 10 hours a week or something. I couldn't live on my own with this, but it's still like, you know, spending money, right? So there are things that I've wanted, you know, or a new video game comes out and I want to, you know, want to buy these things, right? Maybe video games a poor example because I have not played any games, the exceptions of Cowdino pretty much. So that being said, I was on the search for a way to budget, right? You know, I'm getting X dollars per a month. I know I want to invest it, put some away and invest it, and so I can, you know, have some financial security in a few years. And I still have a lot of money invested, at least relative a lot to me. Like it's the kind of money that could keep me afloat for 2 or 3 months, you know, based on how I spend things if I were all alone. And I need to keep that there, right? I don't have any intention of removing that. But it's weird because I spent so much time thinking about, I need to spend money. I need to make a need for myself to have money for me to find a way to work. But it kind of went the other way around, which is really strange to me. So to put that another way, for a while I thought I need to, you know, essentially empty my bank account. Or, you know, until I feel like a need for money, only then will I end up actively searching for a job. Wow, I switched the arrow keys with my right hand and this is going infinitely better. Sorry, I took a moment to focus there. So where was I? Oh yeah. And so I always thought, you know, I hit not zero, right? But it's like, uh-oh, I'm buying things and I'm running out of money. So it became this question of, okay, well, how low do I need to go before I start getting quote unquote desperate? But then my YouTube channel got monetized. And again, it's not like a huge amount of money, but it's like spending money on some small things. And I'm like, okay, well, I always told myself that any money I made on the channel would be invested into the channel again, which is true. You know, whether that be light, got a lot of comments about lighting or whatever, keep doing that. Okay, but how do, you know, when spending money, like, okay, shoot, still got to figure out a way to make enough money that I can both put into my channel and, you know, invest in have some spending money. But it's not like I have anything to spend it on. I just don't, you know, I'm still a college student. I'm still living with my mom at the moment. No dorm, unfortunately. But, you know, I want to live on my own next semester, so save up for that. My last semester, whew, coming up on me. Anyway, I'm sort of probably getting sidetracked. I was going to talk about freedom and how money can buy you freedom. I guess this will all segue into it. But yeah, so there was this, okay, create a need for money, and then I will be incentivized to find a job. Because in my opinion, no job is beneath anybody. You know, I was contemplating working at the 7-Eleven over the winter, but then it would feel weird to be like, hey, so I can only work here for 5 months. Like, I already have an end date for you. And I don't, you know, worst case, I say, hi, I'm a student, and I would just figure I need a job of some sort. But then tutoring came up. I thought tutoring was credits for classes, so I never thought of applying as a tutor. And I was informed otherwise. But you actually get paid, which makes sense. So I tutor for 10 hours a week for intro to programming. And now, you know, all of a sudden, quote unquote, there's something I'm qualified for, and someone needed another tutor. And so I was there, and I filled in some blocks in the schedule, and I show up into a Zoom room, and people stop by sometimes, and sometimes they don't. Midterms coming up, there'll probably be a lot more. Whoop. And so now it's like all of a sudden I have money. Got my first paycheck last week. I still had like money in my savings from summer camp, pretty much, not gonna lie. And it was slowly dwindling, right? You know, you spend it on whatever, snacks and all that stuff. And it slowly dwindles over time, at least in my case it was. It's not like I would get a paycheck, right, and then blow it on whatever I had on my wish list. A lot of thought goes into it. But I was thinking like, okay, well, you know, there are things I want to buy. And, you know, one of those things, while I consider myself to be a pretty minimalistic person, is art books for both animated movies and video games. And so I was like, okay, well, I want to buy this art book. And everyone has a wish list. You know, I want to get like a futon and a tatami mat, get rid of my mattress, which is already on the floor. Maybe that's a story for another time. And so I was thinking, okay, well, you know, I want to do these things. These are things I want to do. And I do believe that will increase the quality of life for me. For example, you know, the art books are very inspiring. I got the Moana one a while back and I was like looking through it and I was like, wow, this is awesome. And I just think they're very cool, right? Simple as that. But yeah, so now that I have money, it's not the fact that money is, I guess, and this is where I'm going. So apparently I provided a good enough context for me to get here, but it's not that money is buying me happiness. I don't need the art books or another Udemy course to be happy, right? I don't know what happiness is, right? But I'm content. I'm not satisfied, but I am content with where I am in many ways, especially more content than where I used to be. And so in this sense, money hasn't bought happiness, but it's bought me the freedom to just get these things that I want without having to stress about, oh, well, what if this happens? I'm going to need this money for this, which, you know, one of my rules was never dip below 1,000 in your savings. Like I should always have at least 1,000. Now I've, in theory, dipped below 1,000 in my savings, but only because I've invested about 2,500 in Vanguard, which is now at like 3,300. But and you know, I put money in there on like a pretty decent basis now. I just don't do anything else with it. And someone was like, dude, you're wasting it in your savings account. And I was like, oh, did some research and invested anyway. But you know, there's these things that I want and it's not like I need them, right? So it's never been like, hey, mom or dad, I want this, give me that money. Because if it's not something I need, I simply don't buy it, more or less. You know, I don't need the art book. I have a mattress. I'm fortunate. I'm in such a position that I can literally say I choose to sleep on the floor sometimes. Anyway, that's kind of aside, but this is, you know, money, almost went down. Money, it doesn't buy happiness, but it buys freedom. I guess a pretty stereotypical example is like money, like if you buy 10 Lambos, you're going to be happy all of a sudden, or if you get a big house, you'll be happy. And I learned a long time ago that's not how it works. I'm fortunate to have learned that fairly early on. I mean, a lot of people know that now, right? It's pretty common knowledge. But for some people, their definition of success is a number, is a salary. Mine is not. And I, like, for example, I always tell myself if I was filthy rich, I would still live in a small apartment or house or whatever's, you know, contextually relevant, and have like a freaking, I don't know, normal sedan car, like, you know, that kind of thing. But the thing is, I feel like I could be pretty content. You know, if I didn't make money, I wouldn't buy anything. I can be pretty content with all of that. But I wouldn't be free in a lot of ways. Some people don't have this freedom either. I know this was from reading a Reddit post. Something I've, you know, done myself in the past is like, me and my friends wanted to go to an escape room. And, you know, we were all in college at this time. We still are, I think, most of us. And someone didn't want to go. And it was because of the fact it was like $35 to go. Whatever their reasons were, I said, hey, man, I don't spend money that much. I've got just a bunch. It's worth $35 to me for you to join us. And I said, do you, like, you know, we might go to dinner after that. And I was like, but you know, if I pay for your escape room ticket, you still down to come? He was like, yeah, absolutely. And it's like, this money, all right, this simple $35 bought me the freedom to invite my friend to do that, to have another one of our friends join us for this escape room. And it wasn't a freedom he felt he had at the time, for one reason or another. You know, some people can be, I'm not going to assume what his situation was, right? Some people can be filthy rich and still feel very conservative about their money, feeling like an escape room's not worth it. Some people simply don't have the money for luxuries like that. You know, money gives you the freedom to say, yeah, let's go out to dinner tonight with your friends. Or, you know what? Money gives you the freedom to say, you know what? I'm going to do takeout tonight. I am going to spend, you know, $20 on Indian food when it could buy me the food to make 5 meals. And that's, yeah. So now that all of a sudden I have freedom, now that, you know, money was, if I really want something, or if I find that I really need something, I'll buy it because I have the money to do so. But I never had the freedom to say, you know, and in a lot of ways that itself is a form of freedom. I never had the freedom though to say, oh, I really want this art book, I'm gonna get it. So, and I'll end on one more note. That's kind of my big spiel though for money is, you know, money buys freedom, but not happiness. And just to recap it, money allows us to do things on a whim. And if we can do things on a whim, if we can have choice in our actions that is not hindered by something like money, we gain freedom. But anything that money gives us, buys us, doesn't buy us happiness. For many people, it can buy things that make them happy. But I would argue that that happiness is freedom, and that freedom becomes happiness momentarily. There are many people who don't have money who are happy in cultures all around the world. But also that money doesn't restrict them from being free. So this is largely from an American's point of view. Yeah, so my last point is this thing that I came across called the magic number of budgeting. And it's essentially a way to not spend all your money when you first get it. For example, I have like 30 art books on my, I don't plan on buying all of them, but I do want to buy a few of them. I just got the How to Train Your Dragon one, and I want to get the Ori and the Will of the Wisps one. But what I did was I took how much I got paid, which is bi-monthly, so every 2 weeks. And I divided it up. And this idea of a magic number, if you are interested, look up, I think Abraham Lyer's magic number. I can also link it in the comments if someone leaves a comment to do so, or if I remember this in the description. But anyway, the idea is, you know, assuming you're a fully grown adult with a full-time job, you take all the money you make, subtract your yearly expenses / the things you know you're going to pay for. So house mortgage, Netflix subscription, right? Those things that are paid once a year. You take the rest of that money and divide it into 365, assuming you're doing it based on a yearly salary. And you give yourself that much money every single day, and it rolls over as if someone had come to your door every morning and said, here's that amount of money. So in my case, I did it differently because I don't have really any yearly expenses. If I need to help out, I can now, which is fantastic. It gives me the freedom to help out without feeling guilty. I don't really feel guilty. It's fine. But what I do, and again, because I don't spend that much, for me, my magic number is $10. So when I get paid, right, I take that money and I take a certain quantity of it, and I put it into Vanguard. Well, I deposit into Vanguard like every 3 months at this point. Oh, dude, please. Oh my God. Thank you. I deposit like every 3 months is my plan, because it's not that much that it's like a significant contribution. Not that I can put too much in there, all in all, but I'll never really reach that limit as of right now, at least. Anyway, Anyway, I take the rest of that. So I put that in Vanguard, and I take the rest that is remaining of those 2 weeks and I divide it into $10 a day. So you can conclude that I make at least 140 every 2 weeks. And in theory, that's 14 hours of work. Well, less because we get paid New York minimum wage. So how much I make really isn't that important. I just tutor and I make money. That's the whole point here. Anyway, every day, every morning, I wake up and I give myself $10 pretty much. And it adds to this quantity. And what this does is it means you're still saving up for something, but you have the freedom to do so because I've already put away money to save for emergencies or if I never need to help out with anything, so to speak. And I can just do this without worrying about where else that $10 might need to go. That's the whole point, is that you have this amount and you don't have to worry about, oh, this should go somewhere better. No. The idea of the magic number is that, you know, if you have a full-time job or whatever, you don't, okay. This, you know, you'd get $150 a day and that would go towards gas, groceries, so on and so forth. I don't have to worry about that. Not yet, at least. Hence $10 a day. And it's just for small things, like art books. Now, I don't know, that's it. That's kind of all I wanted to say. But this $10 itself, for me, for someone who's always been like, oh, I should save this for something, you know, more important, not spend it on an art book. This magic number gives me this second degree of freedom. Because getting paid gives me the freedom to say, okay, I get to invest money into Vanguard or my savings account or whatever it may be. And the magic number gives me freedom to say, hey, Mark, it's okay to spend money on an art book. You know, you have money aside to take care of anything else. You've got like a small emergency fund. You're investing for the future. You have a constant income so you can do this in the first place. And yeah. So if you get allowance, if you get paid for a part-time job, if you get a full-time job, give this thing a shot. It's been super cool so far. Right now I have $79 and I might buy an art book. Also, I made a modification to it, but whenever I upload a lifestyle video, which takes a good amount of work from me, I give myself $10. And whenever I do a successful sprint for C-Shop, which is like a week's worth of work, I give myself $10. So in theory, I can make, you know, if I released a video every single day, I could make double the magic number, but you know, it's modifiable. And again, it gives me the freedom to do this. So all of a sudden, money has meaning to me now. But it's not that it gives me, it's not that money, you know, buys me happiness all of a sudden. It's that money gives me, you know, the freedom to say, you know what, yeah, sure, you know, I can do this thing for you, no worries. Like I don't need the payment for whatever. Yeah, we're gonna end today. It's been a long enough VGT. Hopefully you got something from it. I think I really like the way I phrased my money versus freedom debacle. Sorry, money versus freedom. Money buying happiness versus money buying freedom, because to me, it's just a core idea of everything. I think it's really important to know that, you know, making a lot of money won't solve all your problems. Buying something for a significant other with whom you're having relationship troubles with isn't going to solve your problems. That's really the only example I can think of. But it can buy you freedom. Money can, you know, buy you a nice date with your significant other, and then you can talk about things afterwards, right? Something like that. All in all, it gives you the freedom to do things that you might otherwise not feel are worth the money you spent them on. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. I've been your host, or player one, Mark Mobkin78, and I will see you next week. Don't forget to stay awesome. Sorry, have a good one, and as always, don't forget to stay awesome.